much so when y'all step away from each other. If you take over the house and he goes somewhere else, you don't know. He could be going with his side piece. Very much so. And you're not thinking anything. You just caught up in the moment of being happy with your friends. I'm finna go hang out with the fellas. The fella could be the one fell her, and he done fell for somebody else whenever you ain't around. One of my best friends is a male, and he said to me one time, he said, Jessica, I'm gonna be honest with you. He said, for a lot of men, sometimes there's just a woman in a man's life we know we're not going to be with, but we don't want her out of our lives. No matter what. We don't want her out of our lives. And, I can see that.
I mean, but I think that goes both ways. That could go both
Absolutely.
ways. Yeah, that could go both ways too. So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
That is what I always say. Now, a good friend of mine, he has a radio show / podcast that he does on Saturdays called the King Charles Show. And King Charles asked a question on his Facebook maybe about a week ago or so, dealing somewhat with the same topic, and I responded on that. But his question was, do women know when one of their homegirls is attracted to their man? Go ahead.
Well, for me, I have to say let's define attract, because what she considered can be I think it's subtle telltale signs if you find out if your girl is attracted to a dude. I think that by that is how she look, is how she, but your girl got to pay attention to that environment,
right?
And you have to be in a relationship that's open and confident enough to where he could feel safe enough to where he could feel comfortable with saying, hey man, is Sheila always acting this way? Like, do she act this way when y'all just with what you call, or y'all just out and about, or what? Get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying.
Because a lot of dudes or a lot of girls can have a man who is who have friends who is attracted to her dude, and the dude can see it all day. So he like, man, you know what? She be acting like this and acting like that toward when I'm around her, but I can't tell them all later because she might be insecure and she might, what you think, my girl want to talk to you? You think she want to holler at you or something like that?
So you think the female would turn on her man versus her friend?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Yeah, that's interesting. The voice is basically saying no, but he feels that if the man bought it up to his girl, that his girl would be like, oh, you think my homegirl looking at you?
The space has to be comfortable enough for him to get to that point.
It has to be comfortable enough both ways, because what I do know is I have not met friendship, relationship, situationship. I have not met a man who can have a conversation about a woman with their woman telling them that either they felt like another man was blah 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 blah. A woman can't even tell her man, dang, he look good. Versus, oh babe, look at her booty. Look at that one all day long.
You saying same sex versus opposite sex. That's that's a double standard of life. You just ain't gonna like for your man.
But a man could say that.
But a majority of men not. Majority of men will look one way and hope that ass cross in that line of fire. A man ain't gonna be. Majority of men not gonna be comfortable enough with. And I don't care if people say, we friends, and he could come to me with anything. Yeah, it sounds good when you're telling your girl that. But when we having these difficult conversations, When I'm not blind just because we're in a relationship. Now I'm also not a man. I don't need to gawk at anybody else. You know, I don't need to look at it just be staring at it. You know what I'm saying? But you have to get to a point of being comfortable enough in our relationship to where, hey, oh yeah, she look nice. Oh, okay.
I agree. I definitely agree, but I also agree that if a man walked by and the woman said, "Oh man, he's very handsome," it should be okay. Versus the man feeling like he about to jump down his girl throat because his girl complimented another man. And I guess you're right. That is the double standard of the world. Let's see. Hey, Mika. Mika said, if you are really friends, then you should know this person well. If you're attentive, you can pick up on the change in their demeanor or actions. You know what, Mika, you're absolutely right. This goes not only with what the question I just posed from King Charles, but also with the topic beforehand with Kiera Sheard. When I look back, because several people asked me this, like, Jessica, did you ever see any signs or anything about, the situation that I went through? And in hindsight is always 2020. There were situations that I probably ignored and was probably even not, I won't even say I was naive to them, but I ignored them because in the back of my mind, it's like, I didn't feel like either one of them would do that to me. I felt like, mind you, I was married, so I felt like it was the devil getting in my head trying to make me feel insecure. And so I ignored those things. But you're absolutely right, because my closest friend right now is Crystal Allen. And me and Crystal ain't even got to be verbal with each other, and we can tell what each other are saying by by our eyes and our body language. So I definitely get that. Lauren Dennis said, I think I would know and I would choose my man. Listen, Lauren is married. Lauren is happily married. And I just know this because she's one of my clients. But I would have to say in this situation, I don't think I would say I would choose my man. I wouldn't choose anybody. To be honest, I would pay attention to the situation, and I guarantee you, I would never put myself or us in that situation again for me to have to feel any type of uncomfortable.
I always said, my saying always be a leopard ain't gonna never change its spots. By that, what I mean is, your friends. You know, if you with this woman, are you friends with this girl, and she been known to, bust it open quick, fast, and in the hurry. Don't matter who it is, So when you with a man, even though he is a man, the fact that I know he is a man, I'm not finna put you in that environment that it'll be a possibility. Why? Because I done told my man about this leopard. He know, So she coming in from Chicago, and your man probably gonna say, oh, so where y'all staying at? Now, where y'all staying at? And he be like, oh, she can't stay here? No. The good book say, lead me not into temptation. No. You could get into an argument and you don't know what can happen. So I don't see the issue with. I know it's social media, and I know people gonna follow what the masses does, but yeah, if you want to, she keeping a boundary on her relationship, boundary on her marriage, boundary on her friendships. Hey, you keep them separated. Ain't no point in commingling relationships. There's no point in doing that. So why would we do it?
I agree, and I think nowadays it's just a whole different vibe of people. Like, I don't know where they came from, but it's a whole different vibe of people around right now, because people shun the word boundaries. And for me, boundaries are so much so necessary. I dated a guy who had 2 baby mamas. One of his baby mamas liked to call herself his best friend, which very well could have been. Very well could have been. And the other one was just, there. But, these 2 outside relationships with women, because they had kids together, it was always a fine line, because I felt as if, like, okay, there's a ring on my finger, meaning there's the expectation of us to have a wedding and do all of that. We need to go ahead and put boundaries in place now, and not when we get married, because the chances are when we get married ain't nothing gonna change. If we've been doing this for all this time, you gonna want things to stay the same. And my whole perspective in protecting your relationship is establish boundaries early on. These are my expectations. This is what I'm okay with. This is what I'm not okay with. Your baby mama calling at 10 o'clock at night saying your baby is hungry, which your baby wasn't a baby, but saying that your child is hungry. Do you call her at 10 o'clock at night when your daughter with you saying that she hungry? No. You're an adult. Figure it out.
It goes both ways. I got some homies who was with women who got children, and they baby daddy felt like he could call her anytime. But again, that's the difference. A man, if he's a man, he gonna stand up to her and be like, hey, all they need to stop at 9:30. And if she fight back, well, you go be with your baby daddy then.
Absolutely.
And get out the situation. I don't care how fine or how good her pelvic piece is ain't no point. Ain't no point in trying to change somebody. Like, baby, if that's what you want to do, and you want to sit up and say, I done dated women with children. And it's
the
a boundary.
father of my child.
The father, and the
Right.
difference
it's the
with
father
me and
of your
them.
child, not the father of you.
Yeah, the difference between me and them, me and the dude become cool. If I gotta pick her son up from school, I'll pick him up from school, take her to her dad's house. I didn't mind doing that at all.
So Mika is saying, yeah, you can't choose anyone. However, if once things are revealed, you change how you deal with the situation. Homegirl can go from friend to associate really quick. Amen to that, Mika. Listen, I am quick to change your title. If I call you my friend, it means I trust you. I trust you. Listen to me closely. If I call you my friend, it means that I trust you with basically